It's Daily Dose. Has anybody ever looked down on you? For whatever reason. Maybe it's because of, I don't know, your age or your height or perhaps just your social status or your education or income. I don't know. There could be a whole host of reasons as to why we as individuals in society, we look down on each other. Maybe it's because of your color or your gender or maybe your sexual orientation. I don't know. But for some reason, you knew that somebody was looking down on you. Now, I want you to go in your mind when you have that moment when somebody looks down on you, how do you feel, right? You know how you feel? You feel less than, at least I do, right? You feel like, you know what? I'm not important. I don't matter. I don't have a lot to contribute. Now, here's one of the famous scriptures when it comes to this idea of being discouraged, because we all get discouraged, and we get discouraged by some of the lies that we chew on in our heads. We get discouraged by some of the words that are said to us or at us, and we get discouraged sometimes when people look down on us. But Paul writes this to Timothy, and he says this in 1 Timothy 4:12. He says, don't let anyone look down on you. Why? Don't let anyone look down on you because you're young. You can substitute that word. Old, ugly, pretty, whatever it is. Don't let people look. I don't care how you fill in that blank. But here's what Paul says. Don't let anyone look down on you. So how do you combat this discouragement that comes from people's comments toward you? Here's what Paul says. Set an example. He doesn't say fight back. He doesn't say get angry. He doesn't say tweet it. He doesn't say, go gossip about them. No, he just purely says rise above it. Rise above it. And the way in which you rise above people's discouragement about who you are, or your performance or what they think about you is you just go out and you set an example. In which ways? Well, let's look at the scripture. He says, but set an example for believers in speech, in life, in love, in faith, and in purity. Now, here's what's a little kind of troubling to me about that verse. But Paul says people are going to look down on you, Timothy, because you're young. He doesn't even say unbelievers are going to look down at you. He says believers are going to look down at you. So therefore, you need to set an example to believers. So this idea of being discouraged just doesn't happen with unbelievers. Listen, friends, if we're not careful, the weight of our words can hurt our brothers and sisters in the community of faith. So be mindful of your words. Let's not discourage one another, but let's build them up. Let's encourage. Let's, as Hebrews says, spur each other on in love to good deeds and loving actions and kind words, because these things create a domino, a ripple, a blessing effect that can impact the lives of others. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow on The Daily Dose.